For the introduction to this episode, skip to minute 116. For Chat GPT Format, skip to minute 143. For GPT Examples, skip to minute 451. For Output Template, skip to minute 645. For Task Split, skip to minute 938. For ABA, which is Ask Before Answering, skip to minute 1450. For the outro, skip to minute 1649. To repeat the timestamp, skip to minute 0. For any other episode, links or descriptions, go to the attached links from this episode.
You might have heard of the Ramsey Network that talks about Dave Ramsey's baby steps. Or you might have heard of the EntreLeadership podcast who talks to small business owners. But if you're a hobbyist who often makes money from your side gig, I built a podcast series that helps you break down numbers and guide you through taking your ideas to the next level. I'll help you budget things like advertising, running a website, or building an inventory. I'll also help you build these systems one step at a time. Just click on the link or learn more to listen to an episode of Figuring the Figures. Let's figure this out together.
All right, you are now in the third part of these bonus episodes. So this is the third bonus episode talking about ChatGPT and how to use ChatGPT. In the last section, we talked about the context, the style, which was the TSL, and stuff like that on ChatGPT. We also talked about creating a role for ChatGPT, having some context. Now we're going to focus on the format. So the role I'm going to give it is I want you to act as a body trainer. Or we can stick to business and say a professional. I'm going to use shift and enter. So if I press enter, it doesn't send the prompt because it does tend to happen. I should have probably taught that in the first part. But you use shift, enter, and it'll go down another line without sending off the prompt. All right, I want you to act as a professional business consultant. I want to improve my daily tasks. Tell me how to use Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok effectively through the day with times and prompt as a CSV format. That's what we're focused on. This is a format. So here it is giving me a format on what I need to do. So here's a CSV format for a daily social media management schedule focusing on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can adjust the times and prompts based on your preferences and availability. It didn't just give me an answer. It gave me a CSV format. So it gave me times and prompts in a CSV format. A CSV format is pretty much something that you can copy and paste and download and upload on different sites that take and receive CSV format files. Now, luckily, it's pretty simple. For example, if you were to do a workout plan, it might ask you more information about yourself before it gives you a format like this. Now, let's say I want to have this information in a table format so I can copy and paste like on an Excel spreadsheet or something. Let's see. Now it gave me a table and even gave me some additional information that I must know to be able to have effective use of my prompt. So let's go ahead and copy this information from the table and put it into a spreadsheet so you can see exactly how simple it is if you're wanting to create a task for this. As you see here on the Excel spreadsheet, it gave me the information in a table. From copying from the table and now onto the spreadsheet, it pretty much does the same thing a table would do, just in Excel format. Very straightforward and simple. I can always come in here and adjust stuff, but that's if you know how to use a spreadsheet and whatnot. So yeah, you can always recreate the same table on your spreadsheet if you would like to, or you can just go ahead, copy and paste. The point of this is to let you know that you can do it in different formats so you know how to be able to use it and transfer it on where you need to transfer it to. All right, another thing we can talk about here is examples. Examples as in, hey, ChatGPT, write your prompt using this example. So I can give it this example and it'll try to write as close to that as possible. You can always use longer context, longer text for it to kind of study what you're trying to do, or you can, I don't know, post a picture and say, give that example to it and say, hey, I want you to, if you have the plus plan, I want you to create an image similar to this, but instead of a tree, put a building, so it's gonna take what you're saying, it's gonna get that example from you, and it's gonna go ahead and create what you're prompting it to do using your example. Now I'll say, you are professional psychologist who experts in business. Rewrite this about us page for best SEO. And then I go ahead and post. Okay, so using the example I gave it, it pretty much took it and rewrote it, and a very way for people to engage more, because it's a psychological professional who experts in business. So I did have Chat GPT write this about us page, but I didn't think about the whole psychological stuff. Now you might see it with the revised version here, which is a little bit more engaging, and it'll give you more information. And now it has more SEO friendly content. That's pretty much all for examples here. We'll go into the next topic of output template. I said, give me a budget template where I can input the expenses in each category ranging from needs to wants, utilities, housing, and whatnot. So it gave me income, needs, wants, savings, right? And under each category, it allows me to put in housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, whatnot. The output template example here, I will say is, okay, give me a template for business marketing and planning in a table format. Don't use any of my memories for this prompt, only because I don't want it to use any of the stuff I've already given it for the example. So it gave me 2 columns here, and I want to say, hey, add another column where I can see the roles needed for these sections. So as you see, it's adding another column and it's giving me the roles just as I asked. Make this into an HTML format. If I'm coding and I like what I see and I ask it to make it into an HTML format, it does that for me. Or I can do other formats, or I can put examples of broken down coding that I personally do and put it in here to fix it, or to include something like this in there. You can do all kinds of things with that. Let's go ahead and do another example. I said, give me a budget template where there's a few columns titled suggested, actual budget, and difference. The suggested will automatically be calculated when I put an income. Here's a simple budget template you can use in a spreadsheet program like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. You can set it up as follows. Income, if I put my income here, it'll do all these calculations for me instead of me having to do them individually. And if I want that table in HTML format so I can put it on my website, it'll also do that for me. So as you see, it gets pretty codey here, pretty nerdy around this stuff. But that's pretty much what the output template example is. You can create all these kinds of things in different forms if you know what to ask it. Now let's go ahead and talk about task split. It's pretty much like asking ChatGPT to do different things for you in the same chat or in the same prompt. Pretty much task splitting would be something like breaking down what you want it to do. I want to create a ClickFunnels. I want you to create a ClickFunnels for my audience using a split task form. Tell me what I have to do step by step in creating the title, the body, the HTML or CSS codes, and the footers, along with anything that's going to make the ClickFunnels as effective as possible. So pretty much it's going step by step what I need to do. It's giving me codes. It's giving me everything I need for this ClickFunnels. It's not just telling me one thing overall. It's actually breaking it down step by step. I can go in here and edit it if I didn't like the response, and be more specific on what I wanted to do using context, for example, or using a role here like we talked about earlier, act as a psychological marketing agent and create this ClickFunnels for a clothing brand, right? So because I gave it more context and I gave it a role, it gave me a little bit more information than it did at first. It actually gave me like some kind of titles, quizzes that the audience can take, and other steps that I should take after I'm done with the ClickFunnels, like promoting my ClickFunnels, analyze, and adjust. So that's pretty much what Task Split is. If you're wanting it to do more complex prompts, or you're wanting to make something bigger rather than just a simple answer, you can always go back in here and because you've already started this chat, you can use a step one, and if you have questions or any other prompts you want it to create regarding the landing page, the thank you page, or the tasks, the split task form, a form where users can choose options or answer questions. So it kind of thought that I was telling it to create that for me when I was wanting it to create a split task form. But because I said step by step, it understood what I was wanting it to do either way. Now you do have to be careful on how you word your stuff, how you ask ChatGPT. You have to be thorough on reviewing what it created for you, because sometimes it might not ask you things you need to know to ask it, or it might not tell you things you need to know unless you ask it as well. Is there anything else I need to know? Start. Is there anything else I need to know before I start? So you didn't know all of this before. Maybe you didn't know what a call to action was, or target audience research, or mobile optimization, or A/B testing, or a follow-up strategy. You probably didn't know any of these things, and because you asked ChatGPT, hey, is there anything else I need to know? It's going to give you something. So remember that it's never going to be a limited thing. And if you feel stuck, talk to ChatGPT like if they're your consultant, like, hey, so what about this, or what about that, and how can I do this to make it more engaging or whatnot? Like, you can definitely do that for this type of stuff. As you see, it gave me 1 through 10, and it didn't talk about any other steps. So you saw how short step 1 was at first, and I said, give me more information on step 1, and it's giving me more than I want to know, or that I should know for step 1. Once I feel like I'm complete, I can come back. I don't have to scroll back up or create a new chat. I can just say, now do that for step 2. Because we're in the same chat, it already knows what I'm talking about. It's giving me more information about step 2. Now, within these last 2 episodes, we talked about giving ChatGPT a role, which is like, hey, talk to me as whatnot, talk to me as that. We talked about giving it a goal, so what we want it to do, which is something that we're always going to have to do with ChatGPT, is giving it a goal. And then we talked about context, so giving it more information about what we want it to do, about our information that we want it to know, or anything else that it will be useful for ChatGPT to know. The last section is ABA. So what does ABA stand for again? It means ask before answering. I want ChatGPT to ask me some questions before answering. Don't answer me. So don't answer me until you have asked all the proper questions to make this the most effective. Now, it hasn't given me an effective click funnel yet for my minimal fashion audience, because it said I need to ask you a few questions to tailor the content and structure your brand and goals. Can you describe your ideal customer more specifically? What are their interests, pain points, and what motivates them to buy? So you answer that. Your primary goal. What is the main objective of the click funnel? Are you looking to capture emails, promote a specific product, or drive traffic to your website? That is something that you probably didn't know you had to do. What is your call to action, right? Offer lead magnet. Do you have a specific offer or lead magnet in mind that will entice visitors? This could be a discount, a free guide, exclusive content, and whatnot. So it's asking you to answer all these questions before it gives you an answer. That's what ABA is. Be sure to, don't get distracted here, but be sure to think about these kind of prompts before you engage with ChatGPT, so you won't have to go back and forth and you already have a long chat of whatnot, and then you have to go and say, hey, do you mind asking me more questions? So if you are familiar with all of this I taught you in the last 3 episodes, you know how to approach ChatGPT in the most effective way possible, in the most effective way that'll work for you and your time more than anything. But yes, within these 3 episodes, we talked about introduction to ChatGPT. We talked about use cases, setup and tour. We talked about prompt basics. We talked about token limits. We talked about ChatGPT settings and features. We talked about giving ChatGPT a role, a goal, giving it context, and then ABA. Through those things, we define our target audience. We use tone, style, and language, which is also TSL, to help ChatGPT answer in the most effective way possible. We talked about format, and I gave you examples, and we also talked about examples we can give ChatGPT to answer in the same way. We talked about output template, and we talked about task split as well. If you have anything else that you would like to talk about, just put it in the comments. If you enjoyed all these bonus 3 episodes, please like, subscribe, and share. Let me know how I did, and I hope that was a lot of value to you all in these bonus episodes for you. If you really enjoyed it and I get your feedback, I will be able to do more of these type of content, videos, or podcasts for you to enjoy and take from and learn from, and everything in between. So that's been the 3 bonus episodes of how to use ChatGPT with Figure in the Figures podcast. I am your host, Stickman, and I will catch you on the next episode. Peace.